Welcome to Draw One Last Breath Horror Podcast. My name's Matt.
I'm Butch.
And I'm Jody Paul.
And this episode 111 is a very special episode. We have been to Frightfest 2022. How the devil are you doing, guys?
Well, I'm fucked. So, so yeah. Thanks, Frightfest, and really enjoyed myself. And now I've got COVID for the first time in 2.5 years. So yeah, I've been asleep for the last 2 days. So yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I'm all good. No COVID here, thank God. Yeah.
Which
very excited to talk about these films.
Considering we had a cuddle, you know.
Yeah, I know. Considering we shared a bed, platonically, I might add. But yeah, for 4 nights, and I'm amazed I didn't get it. But yeah, hey ho.
Well, if you do go around licking the walls, that's what's going to happen.
Just speaking to a lot of fans, man. No, had a cracking time. It's great. We're basically going to break down the 5 days that we were there and the numerous films. We fucking were tenacious in the amount of movies that we watched. We didn't have many breaks. So, yeah, be prepared. Sit down, strap yourself on, look at the minutes. If you've got a movie in our list and you're one of the directors or actors and you want to check it out, you've got the minutes to be able to break it down in the comments and just go straight to your movie, because I know that's what you want to do. But it'd be nice to listen to the rest of the reviews as well.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be good to know what people think. So, are we ready to kick this off?
Yeah, man, let's go into Thursday. Oh, my God, right. What an opener. First movie we went to see is Lair. Directed by Neil Marshall, starring his wife, Charlotte Kirkland. We are back to sort of Dog Soldiers territory where we've got, army in this time Afghanistan. And we are looking at monsters basically from the deep dark, some kind of nuclear hunkered base from Russia. So it's not we got a monster movie basically to start with. We had a nice Q&A from Neil Marshall as well, which was great. And his wife was there, so that was all good. What did you boys think about this one?
Yeah, I thought it was quite good actually. I was pleasantly surprised because I went in totally blind about this one. I thought it was really, really good, and it was it had a smattering of like Dog Soldiers feel to it, a bit more explosions, a bit more fun, like what he explained at the start. It was like this is my movie where I want to blow things up and kind of have fun. So you know, it was a great opener. I think it was lots of fun. And I enjoyed it thoroughly. Geordie Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, I sort of agree with you to a point, I suppose. I wouldn't say it's a film of substance, is it? It just splatters everything onto the screen and just says, there you go. It was definitely very much like his other film, Dog Soldiers, with the sort of dynamic of the team and all that type of stuff. There was some great one-liners in it, some very, very dodgy accents in it. Yeah, and a decent central premise, but it was quite popcorny. There was no so real. Didn't really feel there was a ton of substance to it. Kind of put it that way, but it was enjoyable enough and a good start. I suppose you don't want anything too heavy when you first go into there.
No, it's proper good fun. Like we said, monsters, great one-liners, special effects were great. We learned that like there was actually only one monster suit in there. Like you said, there was stupid accents, and stupid one-liners. This one mainly came from our favorite Taff, and constantly going on about rugby. As with Dog Soldiers, the one probably going on about football all the time. There was those sort of similarities. It felt very DIY, and it was just good fun. It followed, Charlotte's character crashed a plane. I mean, the plane scenes were no Top Gun, but it didn't need to be. And it was sort of just like a faux rescue. And then there was some fucking real absolute cheese on toast bits with like, I'm going to go in and rescue this person, and then and everyone else is going to fucking die trying. It was that sort of scenario. It's good fun.
Yeah, it was good. Some good gore in there as well. I thought some really good special effects. I thought it was pretty well done. But yeah, it was a great. I think it was a perfect opener because everybody seemed to have fun in the big IMAX screen that we're in. Everybody's like laughing, cheering, and stuff like that. And I think it was a good choice to open with.
Played very well on the IMAX screen. Yeah, not a bad one to kick the first day off. I mean, this one for me, I give like a because of all the special effects, one-liners, and everything. It gets a solid 8 out of 10 for me in this one. That's a good start for me.
Fair play. I think for me, I'm slightly lower. I'm probably more of a 7, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. So it was great fun. What about you, Geordie Paul?
Well, I'm going to go slightly lower again. Maybe a bit too harsh, but I'm going to go 6. So it was above average, but needed a bit more for me to really.
I think we need to talk to Paul about his Frightfest scores. This is your Frightfest experience, so think of it against the other movies of Frightfest.
Yeah, I am. Just wait till the next scores.
Okay, cool. Right then, who's got the next movie?
So that's me. So from that, we were treated to a French film called Visitor from the Future. So this is based on a web series a couple of years ago in France, and obviously apparently it was huge in France. And they made a movie out of it. We had a nice little introduction by the director, who was quite funny. By saying, he said the web series was made for no money, and now we've made a film with a bit more money, but still not a lot. So it made us all chuckle. We didn't really know what we're going on about. Go into this, but basically the premise of it is that there's been a nuclear disaster which has wiped out the world, and people are traveling back in time to try and find the man or kill the man who was responsible for creating that nuclear disaster. It's a bit like Terminator 2, I suppose, or Terminator. And then along the way they get embroiled in with his daughter, and then they end up in the future, and lots of shenanigans happen. Wow, what can I say? I absolutely loved this film. I just thought it was brilliant. Completely unexpected. I thought I was going to hate it, and it started, and within 5 minutes, it sort of had my heart, and I was fully in, because it's one of the funniest things I've ever watched in a while. Really, really well impressed, and that was just the first 5 minutes. So yeah, what did you guys think?
Yeah, like it's obviously an end of the world movie, very sci-fi, but like I said, I went in with zero expectations, almost thinking, oh, this is probably one we could have missed. But fucking hell, like first 5 minutes of dialogue, the sort of hijinks, the time traveling tomfoolery within the first sort of 5 minutes of it was absolute genius. And the dialogue was just spot on. I loved the characters. I really wanted them to do well. I loved them. I thought that the production was spot on. The music was absolutely quality. And we got zombies at the end of the world. And it was just a fun story to follow. Followed from the characters in the present to the ones that would like time traveling, to the ones that the time traveling police who sit outside the time itself, bunch of douchebag corporate sellouts, and trying to stop our heroes. Yeah, it was fucking great. It dealt with some really interesting issues, and it did time travel well. I thought it's funny, very funny. What are you, Matt?
Yeah, I resonate from what you said. Right from the get-go, I think it's so clever in doing that. I mean, literally, I don't think I've heard bigger laughs in that cinema, straight from the get-go, and it was just, it won me over straight away as well. The effects, absolutely brilliant for obviously a low budget. Sounded like a low budget. I mean, I don't know what the budgets were, but fantastic. And there's some. It took me to some places which I didn't think it would. With being so funny, it had a really poignant bit in it that actually hit me in the gut. I was like, oh my god. Which we're not going to go into spoilers, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this, a lot.
Yeah, a real heart to it, hasn't it? Like a real heart.
Yeah. Absolutely. All I can say is I think I overheard this has got distribution. So all I can say is go watch this one if you can find it. Seek it out. Watch this movie. So what about scores? Butch, do you want to go first?
Yeah, this is 9 out of 10 for me. This was going on 10. It was absolute treat.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Ooh.
Unbelievable. I
He's
absolutely
got 10
loved
out of
it.
10.
I from start to finish, it had me. It was brilliant, and I will be buying it when it comes out. And I implore everybody, if you're a fan of sci-fi, horror, fantasy, or even just comedy, it is brilliant. So yeah, definitely fantastic film. And I was blown away. And considering it was only the second film we watched, I thought, and being my first Frightfest, I thought, wow, this is going to be an amazing weekend.
Yeah, I'd go slightly lower. I'd go a 9. But maybe on a second watch I might go higher. I'm not sure. I think it's a great choice by them to put this on. I mean, it isn't out and out horror, but fuck it, it's got zombies in, so it's horror. But I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Great times were had. After that, it was the closing film, and we were treated by a lot of the cast members, and the director came out on this one. It was Scare Package 2, Chad's Revenge. Rad Chad's Revenge, isn't it? Or Chad Rad's Revenge. I can't remember.
Rad Chad's Revenge.
Rad Chad's Revenge. Anyway, so I'll tell you one thing before I start. I was pretty proud of us, I will say, and I'm going to give ourselves a little pat on the back, because it was absolutely amazing seeing people in that queue of actors, directors that we've had on the podcast. So it really, I thought, oh, fucking hell, fair play to us. You had Radina Drandova, you had Jed Shepherd, Kelly Maroney, Graham Skipper. We've had them all on the podcast, and I thought,
Gemma
fair play
Moore.
to us. Yeah, Gemma Moore as well. Yeah, fantastic. So that was cool. Anyway, onto the film. This one is obviously a follow-up from Scare Package, the first movie. It's a little bit weird because the director did say, like, straight away they didn't think they were going to make another movie, and they were very surprised. And the sent alarm bells ringing a little bit with me. But anyway, it's another anthology movie with segments in it. I think there was probably about 4 segments in there, 4 or 5. Which broke down into stories with a kind of underlying story going through it, which I was very tired and I didn't really enjoy it much. What about you guys?
There were some elements that wasn't too bad. Like there was some of the For the Love of the 90s, which was quite interesting. It was sort of a tongue-in-cheek take on the final girl and trope,
Slashes.
I suppose.
Yeah, slashers kind of piss take thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, which is one of the most sort of standout anthologies. But for me, this was a bit of a miss, unfortunately, overall, as an anthology. I mean, we've got VHS 99 coming out in the next 2 months, I think. And that sort of series for me is like ticks a lot of the boxes. The overarching story sort of did ruin it for me, I think, with this one. Some of the stories were right. I mean, you had Jed's lighthouse ghosts again, and all the host girls were back. But even that couldn't save it, I think.
No, I think as well, it was just, for me, it was just so slapsticky. It was almost like watching a scary movie times 10. I just couldn't get on with it. It lost my interest, and it was way too long. Some of the scenes between the shorts were just too long for me.
Yeah, I think they concentrated on the getting to the stories quicker and eliminating some of the actual in-between bits. I think it could be a lot more slicker and easier to watch.
I completely agree with everything you just said. Yeah, it was very long. I mean, it doesn't help that it was the last film. Obviously, we travelled down, and everyone's going to be tired. And yeah, they should have just bung another anthology story in the middle of it, and to cut out a lot of the central story, because it wasn't really a central story, and it flew around all over the place, like being a parody of Saw and
a lot of Saw.
Yeah, a lot of Saw, but it was just took ages, and then, like you said, none of the segments really blew us away. The final girl thing was good at the start, but there was a couple of editing choices, which I think I said up then was they throw up like a fact file of each final girl, but it was like a flash. So you couldn't really digest who the final girl was. I mean, there's a couple of them that were obvious, but I still don't know who a couple of them were. And I'm pretty sure were the famous final girls. But and I'm quite a quick reader as well. And I was like, Jesus, it's come and gone. So yeah, no, it was a bit of a miss, a bit too silly for me, to be honest.
So at the end of that, what do we rate this one? I'll go first. I'm going to get a generous 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll second that. 4 out of 10 for me as well.
I think he's been very generous. I was going to give it a 3 out of 10. So, but maybe I'll just, for synergy purposes, we'll go 4 out of 10.
So at the end of that film, we trundled back to our cocoon, which was our hotel room, and thought we'd kind of chill out and get some rest, ready for the onslaught of the Friday at Frightfest.
Yeah, and we got up bright and early to catch the first movie, which I was thinking, Friday first movie hasn't been that good for us in the past. But this one this one's called Next Exit, directed by Danny Elfman's daughter. Stars 2 actors from the sort of Bly Manor, Midnight Mass sort of realm. This is basically a story about a road trip to a haphazard meeting of 2 people going to the same place, rent the same car, and it's following their journey to the end whilst revealing their beginning, I suppose, at the same time. I think it was a nice trope. This is probably for me one of the highlights of the festival. Didn't know what it was going in. Sort of a extended Black Mirror episode, if you like. The 2 main actors were just like spot on, and their dynamic together made for a really, really enthralling watch for me. And I love them both, and I love the dialogue and the connection that they were building together, and I like their journey, and I like the way the movie and the tone, the way it was set, and all the different sort of things it explored. I really did like this one. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, you know what? Like you, I didn't really know what to expect, and it's it really got me interested straight away from the get-go. And there's a little cameo from Karen Gillan, isn't there, as well, in this movie, which I thought was cool. But yeah, I just the acting was phenomenal, like captivating. Like the 2 main characters were just so believable, and there was so much heart. And do you know what really struck a chord with me? With some of the dialogue, it was very English to me. Very, very quirky kind of jokes, which I thought was brilliant. I so enjoyed this movie. It took me through like so many different emotions, and the kind of storyline throughout about, is this right or is it wrong? Is this the right choice or isn't it the right choice? And I think that's it dealt with some really good, deep, meaningful matters for me.
Rose and Teddy were our main characters.
Geordie Paul?
Yeah, so obviously the centers around the idea that ghosts have been proven to be real, and so therefore no one's scared of the afterlife anymore. And then people who don't want to live are sort of bumping themselves off, and the homicides have gone up because obviously no one's really scared of dying anymore, or the premise. So yeah, it was brilliant the way they set.
Great concept, isn't it?
Yeah, the way this, and obviously they're going on a road trip through circumstance to they end up bundled together to get to their essentially suicide appointment. And yeah, I just thought the relationship was great. I thought it was really, really funny, but with like a real emotional gut punch all the way through it. It sort of reminded you weren't really. It sort of took you off into a like buddy comedy, but then brought you back down to earth through a few scenes in the film. Dealt with a bit PTSD. Like what happens if you can see ghosts through your life that are haunting you essentially. And yeah, it was very, very, very good. And then it had like no spoilers, but like a bit hallucinatory dream sequencey stuff in as well, which sort of took it off into a bit more of a horror element. But yeah, it was really good. And obviously, is it Marnie Elfman who directed it? Yeah.
Yeah.
She's Danny Elfman's daughter, so obviously she'll have a bit of clout in Hollywood. But I can't wait to see what she does next, because I think she's obviously a real talent, because it was, again, very, very beautifully shot.
Yeah, I think it's just the way you just take a massive journey with these two characters. It's so well done that you really, really care about them.
They really made you invested in their sort of history, in terms of they're both like completely isolated in their desire to go for this assisted suicide, the company, I suppose, and it's sort of like taking them through the journey, and then building that relationship, and whether they would still want to do that at the end of the journey. It was really interesting to watch them sort of discuss their lives and learn about their lives in that way through that car journey. It was really cool. Probably had some third act issues, I think overall, but the first two, the middle and the start were better. The way they sort of rounded it up, not sure hit me as much, but it was good, really good. How'd you round this up, and how'd you rate this one then, Matt?
For me, I think it's a solid 8 for me. I do agree slightly with a bit at the end, the last bit. But throughout, I was like, I was captivated, and I'd probably watch this again. I don't know if I'd religiously watch it over and over again, but I definitely would give it a watch again.
Yeah, I second that. I think it was really, really well done. I don't know. I was thinking more of a 7, just because, again, I don't know if it's a bit of a theme for some of the films we did watch in Frighfest. There was a few bits where pacing issues, or a bit of the length of the film could have trimmed some of the fat out of it a bit. But yeah, I'll probably give it a 7.
8 for me. 8 for me. I really like it. Was one of the standout ones of the weekend. Definitely, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good movie. Great movie.
Okay, cool. So taking us on, we went out, had a bit of fresh air, and probably bought a Greg's pasty. Well, I know I'd bought a Greg's pasty or two. And I came
Sponsored
back for
by
the next.
Greg's.
There are other pasty shops available, but not in Leicester Square. Yeah, so the next film was called The Harbinger. Ooh. So this was the COVID film to end all COVID films. Basically, it follows... I can't remember her name, which is really bad. It follows a family, basically, who are protecting themselves during the height of the pandemic, and they have an elderly father who's obviously got health issues that they're trying to keep in a bubble. And she gets a phone call from her friend who has been plagued by nightmares, and is having trouble sleeping. And when she does go to sleep, she won't wake up for a few days, or she's having real vivid nightmares. And then it snowballs from there, where there could be sinister forces out to get her.
Yeah, Monique, played by Gabby Beans, sort of like I
love that name.
Yeah, Gabby Beans, great name, but she was phenomenal through this. But yeah, like it presented itself as like a supernatural movie with sort of almost like a Babadook character, but we didn't get to see that character enough for me. It sort of relied too much on them telling the story rather than presenting that threat. The threat always came through a really psychedelic sort of mushroom-induced dream sequence to me, which I kind of fucking hate in a sense. But yeah, the creature looked creepy. That's the thing. The creature was creepy, and when you saw it, I was kind of like impressed, but I just didn't see it enough for me to like really sort of get it. And to be honest, the one thing about this for me, like I never really, it did make me think in terms of like what it would have been like to be in during COVID in a flat. It must have been a fucking nightmare just being cooped up in that sort of area. You've got that like juxtaposition between her and her two brothers in the pod, a brother and her dad in a pod, and they're quite comfortable in a house together, and then a friend who's sort of cooped up in a flat, like slowly going crazy, getting stalked by this thing that can like wipe you out from all existence. And maybe that was a way of like viewing the pandemic, and I just didn't see it through that eyes. It did make me think, but it didn't translate as much to me, and I just need it for it to be more lifted into that sort of like psychological, sort of almost malignant Babadook sort of character. I wanted to see it more of it, I think.
I think, again, what Paul was saying earlier, I think this film had a few pacing issues as well. There was times where I was just getting a little bit bored. However, things I did like about it did portray kind of the pandemic quite well. But it's kind of one of those, is like, at the moment where I am, I'm like, I don't want to be fucking reminded of the pandemic. if I'm quite honest. And I'm really worried about kind of pandemic movies, of how they're going to stand up in the future. However, that said, the main actress was fantastic.
Agree.
I like the premise of the story. It was quite interesting because, like, you know, we're in a shit show of a time in the middle of a pandemic, and there's this poor woman dealing with literally night terrors that she can't even get away from for hours, sometimes, you know, half a day, nearly to a day. And I like the concept of it being interesting, and I don't want to give away any twists at the end, but because people might want to watch it. But yeah, for me, I agree with you. Like, it needed that kind of main character that was given her this. It needed more of that kind of villain, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Like, again, just dealing with isolation and that loss of it, and that sort of, the sort of creature or demon or whatever it was represented as a plague doctor, essentially, which was quite interesting. Obviously manifesting itself as enjoying people's paranoia about the pandemic, and then that whole, like, forgetting about you and you've been erased, which people would argue that some people were erased because they didn't have any friends and family, and sort of COVID just took them, essentially. So yeah, I get all that. I like what Matt says. It was a bit, we've all been through a shitty time. We all remember the shitty time. We all have done, like, isolation and all this type of stuff. And obviously Paul's going through it right now. But it was just, I don't know. Maybe it was too present and it was too soon. I don't know. But yeah, it didn't really hit a massive chord with me, to be fair. But it was very stylishly shot and well acted. So
yeah, if I was to rate this, I'd probably go middle of the road, probably 5. Wanting to push 6 if they were to sort of introduce that character more for me.
5 from me. I think that's fair.
Yeah, definitely 5. Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what is worth mentioning about, though. The director did a little Q&A, and it was quite interesting that he actually basically did the whole film himself. He wrote it, he produced it, he directed it, did the score for it as well, which I thought was quite impressive.
Oh, maybe we should give it a 6 just for that.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far, man.
But if it's a 5 out of 10, that's a recommendation. That's pretty much, yeah. You should maybe watch this.
Yeah, and you're going to see this one's going to pop up on Shudder, I believe. I think.
Yeah, definitely worth a watch. Because, to be honest, I've seen it. I know everyone from Frightfest posts on top 5s and stuff. I've seen it on a lot of people's top 5s.
Yeah, same.
I like number 2 a lot and stuff. So it's definitely found route with people. It's just not with us, I suppose.
Okay, should we move on to the next movie then? The one we've been waiting for. So we went to, I think it was in the Discovery screen for this one, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is the smallest out of all the screens.
So this is the smallest. Unfortunately, I didn't get a ticket for this, but the 2 Pauls did. So I paid for this one because, on the hype that we've given it over the last, I don't know, month. But we went to see Pussycake, which we've been waiting for, also known as Emesis in Argentina. So it's an Argentinian film, and it was kind of cool because we saw it in the smallest kind of cinema, so the sound was very, very loud. But this one, it centers around an all-girl rock band. I'm not going to say punk because they definitely weren't punk, but they're pretty hardcore. They seem to be pretty, like, centered and quite close with each other, and they're at a gig, and they've obviously done a few gigs that night and a few sign-ins for their fans. They seem to be quite a big girl band, and there is one more show that they need to go to in the middle of nowhere. So they decide to take that show, and off they go, and some crazy shit starts happening when they turn up to the venue, and no one is there. This is a bit of a gore fest. I mean, go guys, go for it.
Yes, I mean, reminded me a little bit of Psycho Gorman in the end in terms of what it actually was. It was sort of aliens versus parasites versus humans sort of thing. There was sort of like a some sort of, I don't know, like entity, multi-dimensional being.
Very body snatchers in places.
Yeah, definitely. They were quite zany characters, very colourful. I probably expected maybe a little bit more humour from it, like to kind of give it that sort of grindhouse sort of movie effect that I was expecting. Like we said before, like when we were there, like that Spare Parts movie that we saw a couple of years ago was fucking awesome. I kind of expected maybe a bit more than that, but no, it was a bit more of a serious tone. It didn't cross completely into that Psycho Gorman thing, but the special effects were great. And the sort of protagonist was quite interesting. The way it sort of parasitically took over people's bodies was fucking cool. I definitely give this one a shout, and I give this one a watch because it's stupid, daft, and fun. And I did. I thought some of the gore was fantastic. I really did think that some of the gore just like really hit the right notes for me.
Yeah, so, fundamentally, this is, I think you guys, I know we picked it up in the podcast, but I think you guys were more excited to see this than I was. But yeah, everything Butch Matt said, I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity, though. I think it could have been so much more on the same premise. Obviously, it deals with parallel dimensions and people opening wormholes into other stuff without really going into much detail about it. It just happens, and then these aliens have taken over this little beach town. I thought the mistrick with this film was that there wasn't enough of the band in it. I really thought that we were going to get like a girl sort of band banding together and really have like as a team effort and fighting them off, and it split them up really quickly, and you never really got a sense of them. For the film was called Pussycake, I was expecting a lot more Pussycake in it, and it sort of just dispatched a couple of them quickly and didn't really sort of drive that. And then obviously chucks in like intergalactic bounty hunters and stuff, and it was a bit weird. But special effects were great. There was a bit too much milky vomit for my liking. But because you could pretty much tell it was milk, guys. I don't know. But yeah, it was great. And like to us, right?
No, I disagree. I don't think it was. I think it was more of like a sort of spunk solution.
Well, that says more about you than me, Paul, to be honest. But yeah, so it and I think towards the end it got really brutal and really violent. But yeah, a bit of a missed opportunity, but enjoyable enough. So
yeah, I mean, I just don't think they were kick ass enough. Towards the end there is a great end sequence that is gory as fuck, and it was quite interesting the way that the parasites entered the body. Like we were just talking about, it was very gooey, but the effects were awesome. I thought it was really, really good, but it just I think it could have, like you said, it could have executed some other bits, like more of the band kicking ass together sort of thing. But I have fun. It was fun. That the cinema was packed. It was sold out, and the soundtrack was pretty cool, to be fair, as well.
Costumes are really cool as well. It's definitely worth talking about. Costuming was like spot on.
Just not punk enough.
Sure.
I'm going to rate this bad boy first. So I'm going to give this I think I'm going to give it 7 out of 10, which is quite high. I probably would, 7, because the effects it tipped it over to a 7.
No, I think 7's fair. 7 is what I was sort of aiming towards. It's pushing an 8, but yeah, 7 out of 10 for me, defo. This one's queer. Go and see this fucking one.
I'm going to give it a 6. Sorry, lads, but I just, but because I don't know. I just thought it could have been a 9 or a 10 with a bit more work to it. But yeah, so 6. Very good effects, very enjoyable. If you love that type of stuff, it's right up your street. You will love it. So yeah.
That's the thing. I think I went in with major high intentions of it being amazing, but it was good.
Cool.
And now we move on to the most controversial movie of the weekend, Eating Miss Campbell. It's been a very, very Marmite divisive sort of movie. I've seen some right old comments and stuff about this one, but it's a trauma movie. It's sponsored by Trauma, so what do you expect, people? This is movie of the festival for me. Highlighted at the fucking center of this, you have Lindsay Crane from Book of Monsters, displaying a sort of vegan goth high school student who falls in love with her teacher and is sort of just trying to commit suicide, and you have this sort of stupid story of like high school shootings running through it, cannibalism, every sort of horrible thing that's happened in the last like 20 years is up for nothing's hidden away in this movie. From like, having to go up to the Baldwin, Princess Diana gets a shout, 9/11. I mean, there is nothing is safe in like culture today to be able to get a slight dig or a slight curse, and it's from the director that we sort of bumped into, Liam Reagan, who's a really nice chap. I think this is his second movie. This also was at Frightfest, called Banjo. This is clearly a labour of love because he fucking, he was very tearful and very, thankful for this movie to get out there, I believe. And you can see it all through the social media and stuff like that. Eating Miss Campbell. If you're a fan of this thing, you'll love to hate it or hate to love it. I don't know, that's what I think.
We were treated to this one because this was the first one we went to Prince Charles for, and that's where we saw Book of Monsters, funnily enough. And I think it was interesting. Obviously, I think it took him 6 years to make this movie. Is that right? He said when it came out, 6 years. And obviously, all the cast and crew and stuff were in the crowd and on stage with him, and that was nice to see that. Obviously, so much emotion around the film, but I enjoyed this movie, and I mean, I'm going to say it out there now. As soon as I didn't know this was a trauma movie till I sat down, and it's a trauma movie. This is going to fucking offend people, and maybe people don't know what trauma's about and stuff like that. But I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I thought it was a great laugh, and it was great to see some of the scenes in there, some really good blood and gore, and some great little one-liners and funny stuff. Lindsay Crane was awesome. I thought she was great. Can't wait to see what she does next. But yeah, I had a great old time watching this.
I think this was Indiegogo funded as well. So I think a load of people got some good merch. Like Book of Monsters, he's gone heavy with the merch as well. He's got his own website, which is great to see.
Yeah.
Paul, what did you think?
So let's set the scene here, right? So when we were picking, and I said I'll leave this up to you guys, and Paul Butcher went, I really fancy going to see this Eat Miss Campbell. We sat down because me and Butcher were lucky enough to sit next to each other for this one, and I sat down, and the words came out of Butcher's mouth of, "Oh look, it's a trauma film," as if he didn't fucking know it was a trauma film, right? Because he knew what I was about to do and go, "Oh, fuck off, will ya?" Because my first ever appearance on this podcast was a trauma film called Class of Newcomb High.
Amazing movie.
Yeah. Well, and I hated it. And we've done things like Street Trash and things like that, and it's definitely not in my wheelhouse. So I was a bit like, shit, expecting it to... And obviously, as soon as it starts, it's very trauma straight away. So I was a bit like, oh, here we go. But, and it's a big but here, is that I actually... It's not my thing, guys, and you know it's not my type of thing, right? But it was well made, it was well shot, and I laughed a lot. I did. It kept me entertained. I was laughing. I was quite amused at Paul's face because a smile never left his face for the entire runtime of the film, which was great. Wasn't bored. Never thought it outstayed its welcome, and it was well done. Like I said, and I'm not gonna sit here and go it was my favorite film of all time because it's definitely not. But I appreciate and obviously the guy stood there in tears at this labour of love, and the cast and crew around him. Let's not try to be too negative. If it ain't your thing, fair enough. But just appreciate the fact that he's made this film. So yeah, I actually enjoyed it. Not my favorite film of the festival, but definitely worth a watch. And like Matt says, I thought Lindsay Crane was unreal. She really carried the film through. A really good performance. So yeah, no. And some really fucked up bits. I mean, Jesus. Some really, really fucked up bits.
Okay, Paul. Well, since you liked it the most, do you want to rate this first?
So yeah, for me, fantastic. Right up my street. This is what I came to see at the festival. It's trauma, it's blood, it's gore, it's over the top. That's what I want. For me, Frightfest, this is delivered a 10 for me.
Wowzer. Well,
Wow.
I'll go next. And to be fair, I admire the filmmaking. I admire the balls to the wall approach. I might chuck everything at the screen, see what sticks. And like I said, it made me laugh. So on that basis, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, which going into it, it was never getting more than a 4 or a 5. But I can't say I didn't enjoy it. So yeah, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, for me, I was like really captivated with this one all the way through. I thought so. There's some really funny jokes in there. It's nice to see a film that doesn't give a fuck in these times, and they are far and few between. So on that basis alone, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed it, and just because it had some balls, and it's like real fucking punk, and like the way it's made and stuff. And I just think that's sorely missed at the moment, where people aren't making films that really do test people and stuff like that, and divisive. It's looking online as divided people, and
there's definitely a couple of others that sort of pushed it out at the festival. And if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Frightfest. It's going to find those movies.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, give this guy a chance who makes this film. Liam, give him a chance, give him some money, and see what he can do. Because
absolutely,
he knows how to shoot a film. Because the quality of it was really good.
So that capped off that day. We went for a few beers, didn't we? Had a little bit of fun.
We did.
Down the old Imperial.
Late night, and we did manage to still get up for the first movie on the Saturday. Did. We were never going to miss this one, were we? Geordie
no.
Paul? Go on, bring it.
We're definitely not going to miss this one. So this was potential friends of the podcast. Benson and Moorhead's latest offering, which is Something in the Dirt. So centers around two neighbours. One moves in and meets his neighbour, basically, and they form a friendship, and they are hanging out and find some strange goings on in the flat. Some big shiny crystal starts taking off in the room, and what follows is their sort of investigation into that phenomenon. And obviously they're realizing that if they can make a documentary about it and get to the bottom of it, then they'll make a load of money. And that's how it starts. But it soon sort of unravels their sort of relationship, and their sort of obsession with this thing grows and grows and grows, takes them into a lot of cults of Los Angeles and how the city was built up and all the secret societies and all that type of stuff. But yeah, starring Benson and Moorhead as well, which I didn't expect. I didn't know that. And they were backhanded compliment here. Surprisingly, I was really surprised because they were fantastic in it. They were great. They are great actors as well as fantastic directors. So yeah, guys, what did you think?
Do you mind if I go first? I mean, look, obviously we are massive fans of these guys on the pod. So we might be.
Yeah, and Endless was our third episode, I think, that we did.
Yeah. So we are big fans, right from the start. We've been fans. However, this for me, literally, I was fucking absolutely in this movie. I was following them, listening to them. I don't know how the fuck they come up with these storylines out of their heads, written and directed by them, right? How do they even start doing this storyline? It's so complex and so detailed. And I mean, it's obvious they love their kind of sci-fi, kind of time travel-y kind of stuff. However, I just don't even know. I should have asked the question, how the bloody hell do you do it? I mean, somebody asked the question, what do you, how do you kind of plan out these kind of films? And they were saying they do it on a big board, and they put all these ideas and then they bring it all together. I'm like, but I just absolutely loved it. The relationship between the two characters just felt so real, and there was little twists and turns about their kind of backgrounds and stuff. and the way they just split to the kind of explaining of kind of all the different little culty things in there and science kind of based things and time travel based things. I just thought it was superb, absolutely superb.
It was almost like a found footage movie, where, or like a documentary gone wrong, and it had, because it had a few talking heads in it as well. Something had gone wrong, and we obviously we don't know what until the fucking right at the end, and we will spoil this one, I think, because I've got to talk about it. But like they're almost like science. It feels like they are like science teachers, or they've done a science degree in the sort of the way that it's interesting to sort of like the geometrics of it all, the multi-dimensional stuff that they've done in the past, and this one as well, the gravity, and it's just sort of a dive into sort of the oddities with a little bit of science, like, but real science, maybe fictional science as well, but it's sort of just like it pushes that boundary of like, so they've got to have this like real interest in it and like a real foundation and understanding, or like their research is just either that or their research is just phenomenal. But it was just so interesting. It's the two of them like trying to capture something weird and then diving into and then slowly unfolding it, and it was almost like Blair Witch, but trying to recapture this documentary in Levi's living room. It was just gutsy. And obviously this was the one that they filmed during lockdown, and it's nice to see, when we were talking about the Harbinger earlier, but it's nice to see a movie that's filmed during lockdown but have fucking no mention of it. This was just a movie that they put together. Not to mention 3 of them made it. Yeah, it was like those 2 were the actors, writers, directors, as well as the producer, who was pretty much they taught him how to use the camera. And it was like, I don't know if they were lying about the budget, but somebody made a comment later on saying it was really low budget, and they were like, actually, it cost about 45 million. And I was like, okay, I don't know if it felt like a 45 million pound movie, but it was just like, it was very clever the way they had to play around, and they probably had to send out all the edits and get them edited and get all the stuff taken out. They said they had to like hold sofas up and then remove themselves. The sort of way that it played with the gravity was just so fucking interesting. And it's nice to see that they, like the Soska sisters a couple of years ago, these boys were around for the whole fucking festival, which was fucking great. I mean, talking about the budget, I can imagine they had to pay a lot of money for kind of the video snippets they had in there, because the rights to use those videos, I would imagine. Not to mention as well, this film was fucking hilarious in places. Had me chuckling a lot throughout. Yeah, definitely. And do you know what? One of the highlights of the whole weekend for me was just having a chat with him, because I know it's easy for us to say, but they were just really down to earth, nice guys. I think, because they are like Charlie Big Bananas now. We're doing stuff for Marvel and things like that. They could just be like, I'm not talking to you lot, but they were just really accessible, really nice. And yeah, just great. And a very nice, polished little indie film. By two big directors who, let's face it, guys, are just going to keep pumping out films. And if they keep pumping them out the quality they are, they're going to, be around for a while. Well, apparently they've got a couple of bits coming up, but on talking to them, I was just like, I just wanted to shake their hands and go, fucking, you're doing a great job. Keep going. Because pretty much everything they've made so far, I've loved. I said to them both, I said, Spring, I absolutely loved Spring the first time I saw it. Keep making these movies. Okay, so Butch, do you want to rate this one? Yeah, this is a 9 for me. Really fucking enjoyed this one. One of my favorites for the whole festival, from a really fucking good festival. This is just up there. And like Paul said, the boys were fucking just absolute gents, and they were there for everyone. I've seen loads of photos, and people have done interviews and stuff. So yeah, thanks for coming to the festival and hanging out. Yeah, I agree. Butch, 9 from me. And obviously, big thanks for being so accommodating and nice, really. Top gents and a great film. Yeah, 9 from me. Solid 9. Hopefully one day we may get them on the podcast. You never know. You never know. So, on to the next film.
This one was called She Came from the Woods. And in my opinion, she should have stayed in the fucking woods.
She came in the woods.
This one is a kind of like, let's say, a kind of ghosty, killery story. It's got a few people, a few big names actually. It's got Cara Buono from the mum in Stranger Things. Is it Will's mum from Stranger
Mike's
Things?
mum.
Who, sorry?
Mike's mum.
Mike's mum. Yeah, she's in it. Literally, I couldn't believe this. I didn't even know this, but William Sadler was in it. I didn't know that.
He played the granddad.
Yeah, the
I
granddad.
didn't even know that.
Oh, Jesus.
I didn't even
Had you fallen
recognise
asleep at that time?
Well, maybe I did nod off a couple of times. So this centers around a family that own a, what do they call them in the States? Camp, like a getaway camp, school, summer camp. That's it, summer camp. So they own a summer camp. All the kids coming to the end of going home. It centers around these camp people that live there and the family. And there's some strange shit going on in the woods. And stuff starts happening. Like, yeah, go. I've not got much to say on this, to be quite honest. I didn't enjoy it.
The concept was pretty good. It's like a campfire movie that could have been centered around a sort of like, is this going to be a slasher? No, it's going to be a ghost around, old legends of the campfire, but it wasn't. It was created by the family and themselves. It just lost its way a little bit. The kills were not really that entertaining. The sort of main antagonist was fucking lame and boring. You kind of saw it too much. The MVP of this whole movie is the cop that turns up in the last fucking 5 minutes. He was like had the funniest dialogue in the whole fucking thing and the best delivery. The rest of them I just didn't really like any of the characters. I didn't really care. They could have all fucking died and choked on their own blood for all I give a shit. That was just like sort of general consensus for me.
Lots of people love this movie as well. Again, I saw online a lot of people giving it a lot of love, and I mean, some of the special effects were okay, but the one thing I will say, and it's going to be a spoiler, but I don't really care. There's a pretty girl in it, and you think, there we go, final girl, but she got off right at the start, which I thought that's a bold move. But then after that, I was not invested. I actually did think I fell asleep a couple of times because it had massive pacing issues, just too long. There were some camera shots that were just lingering on people's faces for a good minute. And yeah, I'm sorry, but it's not my sort of thing.
My review is basically, I just missed opportunity. Really, it just from start to finish bored the hell out of us. If I'm honest, there was a couple of little funny bits where the kids sort of get possessed by the ghost of the nurse, and then there's a little creepy bit where they disappear out of a bus, which I thought was quite well done. But then I thought there'd be little demon children. They were bad guys, but they had no makeup, or they were just kids running around screaming. I would say this though, there's a bit, spoilers, so sorry, but there's a bit where a kid gets hoofed with a baseball bat, and it's actually quite funny. So it got a bit of a point with that, but oh my god, it's a crime to waste William Sadler like this. But then not too much sympathy because he did produce the damn thing as well. So I love William Sadler, but it was just a bit pimped by numbers. Like Paul said, the best bit was actually the policeman right at the end. There's a bit in the middle with another policeman who just disappears with a pizza delivery boy, never to be seen again.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
So I literally think I fell asleep at that part.
Oh my god! He just disappeared with this kid, and it wasn't explained anyway. But then in the last 5 minutes, the tone of the film changed. It went from sort of straight-laced horror to comedy spoof. I just didn't get it. It didn't resonate with me at all. So yeah, bit of a dud.
I'm going to start this one off. Probably for me, I'll give it a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, this was one of my least favorites. 3 out of 10 for me. This isn't going to be the lowest rated one. Actually, I've got one that's less than this. Right.
Jordy Paul, what was you rating it? Sorry, what did you say?
3 out of 10. Sorry, I completely agree with you guys. Like I said, it gets a 3. points for the hoof and the kid with the baseball bat.
And this is definitely going to be available, I heard. So, yeah.
Cool. So, the next one. So, we had a little bit of a treat for this one because the legend, the master, the horror icon that is Mr. Dario Argento came out to introduce his latest film. I was going to try and say it in Italian, but I'm not. This one is Dark Glasses, or Glasses if you're from where I'm from. So Dark Glasses Lake. So yeah, this is the new Dario Argento film. Centers around a prostitute, surprisingly. Dario Argento. So yeah, centers around a prostitute who, after a client falls victim to a serial killer, and she manages to sort of get away. In intern, has an accident, and she then becomes blind, hence the title Dark Glasses. She then befriends a little Chinese boy, and together they try and, as they're forging a new life, the little Chinese boy's parents were killed in the accident they have, and then as they bond together, the serial killer comes back to exact his killings. So yeah, lads, what do you think about this one?
I mean, like, when you first hear the premise of this, I just think, what? I was like, this sounds fucking crazy. What the hell? But I really enjoyed it. I was like, I mean, you know, from previous pods, if you're a listener that listens all the time, you might know that we are not the biggest fans of that kind of genre. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was a beautiful film. I thought it was obviously it's Dario Argento. The soundtrack was fucking absolutely insane. Yeah, I loved it. Butch, I'll let you go in on this one. Go for it.
I mean, from the first initial garrotting in the bushes with cello strings, I think we're proper going into classic 70s Argento territory. But obviously, this is set in now, because this is a movie that he's had on this shelf for years and just never got around to do it. I mean, his daughter's in this, who plays Rita. Elena Pastorelli is Diana, and I just absolutely fell in love with her. She was
I bet you did.
Oh my god! Wow, she was stunning to start anyway. But it was so beautifully shot, and I just kind of, when you got that Argento sort of film on it, it was just beautiful, and the story was so like captivating. I loved her journey from like this really sort of and she is a very beautiful, sexy lady of the night, is a very higher class sort of clientele. When she loses her sight, she grasps onto Rita, and she just really sort of gets used to. She gets the dog, she gets the sticks. She's trying to make a means for the crash, even though it wasn't her fault and she was being stalked by this killer. She sort of inadvertently, illegally, kind of adopts the Chinese boy from the accident, who, you know, her car went over the fucking top of and killed his parents, essentially. And it's such a cool cat and mouse movie of the serial killer sort of coming after them and stalking them, and it gives it such an interesting dynamic with her being losing her sight and not being able to see, and using the Chin, his name is, as a sort of guide. And, you know, when they lose each other at some parts as well, it's just so dark and twisted. There's some really creepy scenes in it as well, especially with the water snakes. At one stage, that is just something to look out for. And you will see this movie be on Shudder very, very soon. So it's definitely one to go and check out. It was a really, really beautifully shot movie, with the music being incredible, spot on. I absolutely loved it. I thought everything about this was fantastic.
I feel, right, that I need a frame of reference for this, because I haven't seen any Dario Argento films. apart from
Suspiria.
this.
Go and watch Suspiria.
Yeah. So, but the feeling I think I'm gonna have, and I might be pleasantly surprised, is that when I watch the rest of his films, this one's gonna be a bit safe and a bit blander than the rest. Now, I could be completely wrong, so apologies, but I don't disagree with what you were saying, Paul. But I just thought, I don't know, I thought it was going to be more. I thought it was going to be more gory, a bit more intense. Now, don't get me wrong, the water snakes bit was crackers. It was really sort of creepy, and I felt like they were on me. That was the way it was shot. It did definitely made me squirm in my seat a bit. But yeah, it was a good film for me, but not a mind-blowing film for me. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I think with Argento movies, it's just the way that they're shot. He's a bit different than Fucci, who's the sort of guy that we sort of generally don't. He's the one who's obsessed with eyes, but like Argento's just got this real sort of classical Italian tone, and he tells.
Giallo, darling, Giallo.
Yeah, Giallo. He just tells a fascinating story, and occasionally, you know, some things will happen, like these kills, but there's just a really classic color tone and sort of style and look that is synonymous with him.
It
was a treat to see him there, though. Very happy.
Yeah, something
very thankful.
100% say again. We were 6 foot away or 10 foot away or whatever we were from Dario Argento. It's a bit of a shame he didn't hang around afterwards just to say hello or something. But
81 he is, so
I know. He's probably going home now for a cup of tea and a lie down. I know, but yeah. But he did announce that he's going to make. He's still making films. This isn't it. He is going to remake a 1940s Mexican film, but he's going to set it in France. So whatever that is, if he's no, please get in touch with us.
Well, he's just won a load of awards or something for like his role in Vortex, I think, a Gaspar Noé movie, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he's a busy boy.
Yeah. Fair play.
Go on, Jordy Paul, you go first. What are you going to rate?
I'm gonna. It wasn't a bad film. I'm not trying to poo-poo it, but it didn't blow my mind. So I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I will give it a 7 out of 10 as well. It was good. It was good. I enjoyed it.
For me, it was an 8. It was very beautifully shot, and I just loved those character developments and the way that they sort of the light and the music and the tone. I really, really got on with this one. 8 for me.
Good fun. Okay, so after that one, we went into the foyer, and I don't know. I think Geordie Paul, you ran off to get some hay fever tablets or something, maybe. I don't know. But me and Butch were stood in the foyer, and like we had a little conversation, and I was just like, we were like, do you know what I really want? I really want a nasty film, like something really nasty that because there always is at Frightfest. There's always a really nasty, depraved kind of naughty film that you should
dirty bastards.
The dirty bastards. So we were like, yeah, we really want one like that. So we went back in and we watched Candyland. This one's directed by John Swab. I've not seen. He's not got loads and loads of other movies under his belt, not horror anyway. And this one stars a very old-looking William Baldwin. I was surprised. He's looking really old lately. And this one is set on a kind of Route 66 truck stop, where I don't know about this, but obviously there is prostitutes at truck stops that obviously work on the truck stops, and this centers around a group of prostitutes, men and women, that service truck people. And then suddenly some sort of religious cult turn up, and shit starts to go down. So it centers around one of the characters from the religious cult that decides that she wants to go off on her own and do some good for her cult or what she believes in. It's a real dirty kind of slasher, kind of grimy little film. I fucking love this film. Over to you.
I mean, from the fucking 60-foot poster, the poster for this is it's everything you need to know. This is a fucking like a proper grindhouse sort of movie, where there is a family of they do create this whole kind of family at the truck stop. They are like their relationship is so interesting. I mean, in the first 5 minutes of the movie, you get a flashing a flashing pussy in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, which
That's
must have
the
been
biggest pussy I've ever seen in my life.
on the screen. So it's like, you know, we wanted dirt, we got dirt. This, you know, Remy, the sort of like this character who gets introduced later on from the cult, essentially. Wants to join their family, and like she's running, you know, under the ruse that she's run away. Some murders start happening at the truck stop inadvertently, and we watch that unfold, and we learn who's doing these murders, and the way. I mean, some of the fucking kills in this are downright disgusting, and what you'd expect from a Grindhouse movie. The use of weaponry is very, very, very amusing. But there is some like two really outstanding scenes in this. One is around the fucking gumming. Oh my god, her first time, you know, is with this fucking really, really grimy priest. Really horrible, but he's just basically wants to, you know, give her a gumming, takes out his teeth, and then goes between her legs, and the rest. Wow. And then we get to learn what her motives are after that. There's a scene with her having intercourse, which is very reminiscent of sort of like a girl. What's it called? Garngel. That's all I'll say. It's just, and it's the blood in it is just phenomenal.
Basic Instinct style.
Yeah, I mean,
but a lot dirtier.
She does not hold back. There's some fucking harrowing stuff in this as well. Like there is like some hard to watch scenes in this. You know, we deal with rape and murder and suicide and all sorts of stuff we in this movie. It crosses so many different sort of areas of like, it was a fucking good watch, man. Like, as well as being disturbing, it was a fucking really downright dirty movie. Paul?
Yeah, I gripped you from start to finish. You know, yeah, literally, like you couldn't take your eyes off the screen. And for a long period, I didn't have a clue where it was going, and I thought it kept you guessing. Or like even when you sort of find out the motives, it still kept you guessing. And I thought there was a lovely little twist at the end. I just thought it was really good.
Bleak.
Yeah, just dirty, but you say dirty and grindy, and in people's minds, I don't know if that thinks like low production value or anything like that, but it was really polished at the same time. It was really, really good, really well acted. Some great performances in there. William Baldwin has aged terribly, but plays a great creepy sheriff.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
But yeah, loved it. Thought it was great. Thought it was really, really good. And I tell you what, I won't be tapping my feet when I'm having a shit in a truck stop toilet. That's a life lesson learned.
Yeah, there's some interesting relationships that form within this movie, and some interesting, almost semi-irreversible sort of style moments in this. It's fucking clever, man. And like, it's one to be. You can spoil it as much. I could talk about it as much as I like. But to see it is to believe it.
I really hope this gets out there.
Definitely, and it's like quite a nice little companion piece to X, isn't it?
Yeah, it could be, but I think it's like
if you enjoyed X,
dirty stepbrother. I'd say X's dirty little secret stepbrother or something like that. But yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 for this for me, hands down.
I agree. 9 out of 10, all the way, mate. Yep. Yeah,
I second that. For that, 9 out of 10 for me too. Cracking movie, good to watch. Good Saturday night movie. Get your popcorn out, John. Put your teeth away and get on with
it. Yeah, I've never heard like literally that was the moment that I heard the whole cinema like, oh god.
Me and Paul the night before had a conversation, didn't we? And I said, I'm still waiting for my like what the fuck moment of any film. Like literally turn around and go, Jesus. And it was that one. Like I said to Paul, then I was like, there it is, that's it. Yeah. So yeah, definitely needs to be seen.
That was our penultimate movie, and we almost missed this one. We were almost going to go straight out, I think, and miss this one, but I'm so glad we didn't. Because we've seen a couple, so we basically go and watch a movie called DeadStream, which is our final movie on the Saturday night. It follows that sort of new horror trope, if you like, that is like that is Spree and Dashcam. It's a streaming horror movie, you know, POV cam, the one that Paul hated early in the year. This follows Joseph Winter as Sean Ruddy, who's the fucking worst guy in the world. He's coming back off the back of something that's wrong, and he's going to a haunted house basically to cause as much trouble as he can. Whether it's picking up a Ouija board, doing seances, going into different rooms, but he has so many different cameras that he positions everywhere, and he locks himself into it. He can't get out. This fucking movie had everyone in the cinema in stitches. It is so funny and very creepy at the same time. I had goosebumps at certain stages. It's that Blair Witch effect that has the sort of those shaky cam with ghosts, and even if it's like told in a way that's kind of satirical, it still fucking creeps me out. This ticked a lot of boxes for being creepy, weird, funny, all at the same time. Very clever movie, this one. And I know you two boys absolutely love this. So Geordie Paul, what tell us?
Oh my god, this was, I mean, like, it's been well documented, like you said, Paul. Like even Spree, I watched Spree. I wasn't doing the pod that time, but Spree did my head in. The protagonist did my head in, and Dashcam did my head in. And this, though, honestly, the guy was just hilarious from start to finish, and like you said, Paul, it was so clever because you were wetting yourself laughing. It was genuinely funny, like ha ha and laughing, but kept you on your edge of your seat, knowing that there's some shit around the corner. There's definitely some shit around the corner. And no matter how hard you were laughing, you were still scared. You were still preempting the tension. And I just thought it was really, really, really clever. And then obviously when the shit does hit the fan, it was still funny, but it was still scary. And I thought it was genius. Considering there was 2 people made this film. I was absolutely blown away by this one. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Matt?
Yeah, basically, I just thought he portrayed a YouTuber so well. Like, I have to deal with that on a daily basis, hearing those fucking shouty bastards from my TV screen. I thought he nailed that kind of, disgraced YouTube style really well. But this film, yeah, you're right. It's just so funny and really scary. But it was just like it's really evil dead bits as well, and that's what really struck it for me. And that's why it's like movie of the festival for me. Probably, I think I put it down as my number 1 movie, just because I just had such a fun time watching it. It was just like the special effects were awesome. It was really guerrilla filming. It was funny. It was scary. It was just brilliant. I can't wait to watch this again.
Some good stunts in this as well. I mean, fuck me. There's one of the most surprising scenes of the whole movie is his fucking escape from the top floor. his little legs as he sort of jumps out the window. And this fight with the ghost Mildred and stuff like that. Those sorts of moments. It's like you can see the ghost in the camera, but you can't see it in front of him, and he knows it's there. And the way he creeps around, again, it's sort of like you want to laugh, but it was generally like, oh fucking hell, this is so creepy.
Totally.
Weird babies as well.
Yeah, weird babies. Some Chris. I'm obviously no spoil, but the crotch shot was just perfect. Like honestly, anyone, I would implore everybody who listens to the podcast. It's coming on to Shudder soon, I think. Watch it, because I'll definitely be watching it again. It's so good, and I love the use of the comment. So obviously, in Dashcam, we talked a lot about the comments on the side, and to be honest, I didn't really read much of them. But the comments section I thought was done really, really well because he obviously kept referring to them. He was live streaming, so it was like live comments, and he was just continuously sort of referring to them. But it was hilarious. It was so good. I mean, it was so good. Brilliant.
Excellent. Well, obviously, I'm going to give that a 10 out of 10 for me.
It was a 10 out of 10 for me every day. It's something that I would buy if it becomes physical. I'm definitely having it. But I'm glad I've got Shudder to watch it when it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there for me. I'm going to give it a 9, though, not a 10. It's still
Because you had a little snooze.
I did, and it
It was the last film, to be fair, and it was fucking late.
It was late, but I just thought it was a great little palate cleanser after the dirtiness of Candyland. I just thought it was perfect. Perfect. If you're going to stick around, do you leave with the dirtiness on you? Just sort of washed all that away, essentially. But it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And do you know what the good thing is? Before we move on, him and his missus, I think they're married, are doing a segment on the new VHS film.
Oh, awesome!
Which sort of just makes that. I mean, obviously excited to watch it anyway, but just completely revs it up for me. So yeah, definitely go and watch it. It's great.
Excellent. So we went home to our beds, had a little sleep, and then we went on to Sunday.
So Sunday morning, I did a little bit of a protest thing. So basically, Matt and Paul found this to be a bit too much wanky for them, so they went to watch something else to me, and I was definitely wanting to watch it because I saw the trailer and I thought it looked really good. And guess what, motherfuckers? It was really good. So on Sunday morning,
I still don't believe you.
Well, that's fine. It was corroborated by an independent witness as well, so you can go F yourselves. Right, so anyway, so I toddled off by myself to the main screen, and I went to see a French film called Mastemah.
It sounds wank. The title sounds wank. So.
Well,
you didn't see it, did you, Paul?
You didn't see it, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, so basically it's a French film directed by Didier Douan. He did a Q&A before the start of it and didn't really speak much English, so it was a bit painful, the interview, to be honest. But one thing he did say, it was like, it is very French, the film. So yeah, it is quite French arty. So yeah, probably says wanky, but I enjoyed it. So basically it just follows a psychiatrist called Louise, who basically does hypnotherapy and counseling, and during a hypnotherapy session or training hypnotherapy session, she there's something bad happens. I'm not going to spoil it for you because she's definitely going to watch it because I want to make his something bad happens, which she then causes her to relocate to the French countryside to start her own little practice up. And there she encounters a dark and mysterious man called Theo, who basically is having real trouble sleeping and has been haunted by dreams, and they're becoming more real as he's been really disturbed. It sort of goes down the religious sort of line where she's a bit skeptical about it. He needs hypnotherapy. He's heard she does it, and she's a bit reticent to do it. And yes, he then goes into dreams and starts spouting things in Latin and, doing that like possessed voice thing that is so popular. And yeah, that sort of unravels from there. There's a quite a nice little twist in it, which I'm not going to explain because it's spoilers. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really, really good. Really well shot, really well acted. Not too boring, not too slow. Very good. So
sounds like one of those movies I just walk out of.
Yeah, well,
Wow.
Wow, Paul. Wow. We didn't leave my little film alone. I'll champion it. Well, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of 10 for Mastemah. And Mastemah, basically, if you don't know, means the devil. It's an old word for the devil.
Thank you for that, Paul. That's very interesting. Cheers. Well,
thanks for pretending to be interested, guys.
Me and Butch decided that we wanted to go and check out the short films showcase 2 at the Prince Charles while Paul was deep in his French horror movie. So we went along and we just thought we'd check some out because we know there's always going to be some good. And this was a good one this year. Most of them were British. Well, nearly all of them were British. But I'll just run down them quick. Paul, you can put in your kind of thoughts on each one. But we kicked off with an international premiere of Everyone Forgot. I was contacted by Anwin Ball, one of the stars of this one. She asked if we'd check it out. And so we did. And we went and saw it. And this was good. It sent around a woman who obviously it was her birthday, her 40th birthday. And everyone forgot.
But there's a reason why everyone's forgot. And that little twist in it made it for a very sort of like, I don't know, peep show, office-based humor sort of thing.
Very funny.
This was a big tick for me, this one.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's an 18-minute short. It was funny. We don't want to give away all the twists or anything like that, but you need to go and check this out if it's available out there, because it's a great little short. The next one on the list was a film. It's not my sort of thing. It's called Molar. Very short, little 5-minute film about a man who breaks into an abandoned house and finds something disturbing buried in a heap of dirt. Yeah, very, very arty, but not up my street. I don't know about you, Paul.
I mean, it was
Paul
about
shrugging for the camera's sake.
It was about like I don't know, pulling teeth.
Yeah. Okay. So we moved on to this one. The lady was there that was in this one, and she had some sort of little kind of leech on her shoulder that was obviously part of the movie, which was cool. And this one was
Sucker, right?
Sucker, yeah. Sucker. And this one is about two sisters are pitted against each other by a giant abhorrent leech creature. This was quite cool. It's only 8 minutes long, very gory. I love the premise. It was just about kind of this big leech that was on her sister's shoulder. It didn't need an explanation. It was just cool. I really liked the effects in this one.
Yeah, good fun.
Really,
there's a leech on her shoulder. You know, it was draining her maybe, and she didn't want to get rid of it. So there we go. Good.
But good. Lots of gore in it, which was cool. Next one we watched was Unreel. This one was about a young projectionist that discovers a strange terror as she watches on screen. It might just have evaded her reality. This one was, I think it was shot in a cinema over just after COVID or something. It was interesting. Yeah, literally about a young girl that kind of almost gets swallowed up by the projection. There's kind of like an evil force, a kind of character that was pixelated and running after her and stuff. A bit creepy in places, but it was
a bit arty and stuff like that, but it was all right.
Now, this one, I looked at Paul when this one started. This one was called Legs. 16 minutes short, and it was literally about one night. Joy swallows a spider in her sleep and soon develops an insatiable appetite for flies. So this centers around a couple that I think are trying for a baby.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's this hilarious scene where she goes to see the doctor, and it's like they're talking about a baby, but it's actually she swallowed a spider, and it's like a common thing that they're talking about.
Yeah, the doctor's delivery to this was just absolutely hilarious, and as if like it even pulled out a leaflet saying, "So you swallowed a spider." And it was like, okay,
so funny.
It was really good. But that actress is like, you know, a comedian as well, isn't it? She's been in quite a few bits.
There was one thing they missed though, because she went up to a screen when she was in the office and she squashes a fly on the wall and licks her finger. And I was like, all they needed to do for make a comedy element for that was to pan around and somebody just be watching her and see her do it, but her not notice that. But anyway, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. This next one was called Catch Your Breath, and I thought this was fantastic. I could see this being an actual movie. So this is about a shy boy is pressured by his brother into playing a game that is said to summon a ghost of a town legend. So the premise is that you go up to this bathroom, light 2 candles. You say this kind of
Bloody Mary-esque sort of thing.
Bloody Mary sort of thing. And then you blow out one candle and the ghost will blow out the other one. But you've got to hold your breath for 1 minute. If you don't hold your breath for 1 minute, the ghost will kill you. It is. I thought it was brilliant. It was so scary, and the effects were fantastic on the creature in it.
Yeah,
Really
they got a lot out of this short.
Really, really good, and it was only 9 minutes. I thought it was fantastic, but I'd love to see that made into a proper feature. I could easily see that happening. Next one was called A Killer Outside. This was an 8-minute short. Believing she is being tormented by an alien entity, Caroline must distinguish between reality and mental illness. This was a bit of a weird one. I didn't really kind of get what was happening with this one. It was really fast paced, a little bit eerie in places, but yeah. Did you watch that one, Paul?
Yeah, that's the last one I saw.
Yeah, Paul had to nip out because he was meeting a friend, so I stayed on my own and watched the next two. Sorry to say it, but the last one of these two was probably the best out of the lot.
Yeah, I know. It sounded like I missed an absolute treat.
Yeah, but then the next one is called Microscope, and this was a world premiere. And this one's got a friend of the podcast, Johnny Vivash. We need to get him on soon. Hopefully he'll come on soon. But this was a 10-minute short, and this was about an eccentric microscopist finally gets his hand on some really rare samples, but he could never have imagined what he'll see. So literally, it's completely like silent. It's just him and a microscope. He's going through all these microscopes, like samples, and he noticed one that's kind of moving around, and it cracks, and then it kind of takes over his body, and then literally, I'm going to spoil it, fucking uses a spoon to gouge out his eye, and it is fucking gross. The sound on this, it was amazing. It was only 10 minutes. But like this thing overtakes his body. It's like it's an alien. It turns him into an alien kind of thing, and it's just batshit. But it's brilliant. It's really, really cool. It was so well done. The effects were brilliant. And then the last one, which was a world premiere game called Bleep. This was from the UK, 8 minutes long, and this was about a couple's relationship is pushed to the brink as they investigate a strange noise that's woken them in the night. This was fucking hilarious, this one. I won't spoil it, because if you can find it, maybe it's on YouTube or something like that, I don't know. But it's called Bleep, and it centers around a couple that they just hear, the wife wakes up hearing the bleep sound downstairs in the kitchen, and then they go to check it out. But all I can say is go and check it out, because it's funny.
When you told me the premise of this, I was like, oh, I need to hunt this one out. This looks good.
It's so funny. It was just, I was in stitches. The whole cinema was just in weeps of laughter. Yeah, but it was fun. It was good to see some shorts. Nice.
Then we all went back to the Prince Charles, didn't we? And we got to go and watch the 20th anniversary of Dog Soldiers. What a fucking treat this was. So not only is Neil Marshall there for his new movie Lair, but he comes back for a Q&A, brings along his old mate Sean Pertwee. Fucking hell, we got to have a little bit of a schmooze. I said hello to Sean. I was like, oh my god, how's Gumbo? Yeah, it's good. I fucking love you, Gumbo. Yeah, so Dog Soldiers 20th anniversary. Obviously, they're celebrating the new 4K beautiful set. They were giving out some at the end as well for some good questions. Matt's got his turned up there. You had to pay for it though. He didn't ask a good enough question. So there we go.
But any questions?
Dog Soldiers, for those who don't know, it's Neil Marshall's first movie. It centers around a group of soldiers in the middle of a forest, and they are slowly being picked off one by one by something in the woods. And what is that thing in the woods? It's fucking werewolves. That's what it is. They're holed up in a cottage, and hijinks, one-liners galore. I mean, if you see Little Red Riding Hood, chin the bitch. It's fucking genius. It's an absolute great one-liners. This movie meant a lot to me. I think growing up, Neil Marshall. It's fucking great. It's such good from a time when there weren't many British horror movies. This was fucking outstanding. The special effects were great. We got to learn all sorts of stuff about the special effects at the movie. Haven't watched this for like probably now around 15 years. Got to learn the fact that there's $2.5 million budget, where it was set, how it was put together. Sean was talking loads. He obviously fucking still has fond memories of like the movie as well. It seemed like a real guerrilla way of filming, as well as just like a big group of lads, just camaraderie amongst the crew. It just sounded fucking awesome. Being
Sounds
there.
like they were pissed all the way through the shoot, the way they went on.
Yeah,
it's
man.
brilliant. It's just as good as I sort of remember, and I sort of remember sort of laughing at it. And obviously, it's got a couple of my homeboys in from the northeast, so that's always a good a good laugh. But yeah, no, it was really good, really good. And like I said, to be in that little cinema, with the director and one of the stars was quite special. So yeah, no, very good.
Any memorable one-liners, Paul?
I hope I give you the shits. That was my favorite one, I think. And I also like sausages. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great to see this on the big screen. I thought it looked absolutely superb, sounded fantastic. It was a treat. I mean, I don't know if I saw it. I don't think I saw it on the cinema the first time around. So yeah, this was an absolute treat. Just fond memories of this movie. It was great to see it again. Just the effects alone, like Paul said, were fantastic of what they had. They were saying they hired like dancers to be the wolves and put them on stilts to make them like loom over the kind of cast and stuff. Just think that's brilliant little things. Just awesome movie, brilliant time. I really enjoyed watching it. It was just great.
It is a different werewolf movie. It is like, there's not a transformation in it. It's just them as werewolves. Don't really get that sort of like full transformation, probably because of budget constraints, I imagine. But like those wolves look really fucking creepy and cool, man. And it's such a good way of sort of looking at things through the sort of eyes of like a group of soldiers and stuff like that, and like elite soldiers. And you had quite a young Liam Cunningham in it as well. Which is as the arsehole. That was really good, man. Yeah, this is a good fucking movie. I'm so glad we went to see it.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 all day.
All day.
Yeah, I agree.
Of Geordie Paul, you're not giving it a 9 just because it killed all the Geordies off.
Well, on reflection, maybe Geordies have to die. I don't know. Yeah, no, definitely.
We'll do a horror movie saying all Geordies must die.
All Geordies must die, yeah.
So after that, we had a little break and we went over to the main screen to watch a Dutch movie called Hazard, or Has for IARD for, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, this one it's not really a horror movie at all. They came out and introduced it and said it's like a buddy movie, which I didn't really see much of it. This is definitely, what do I use this word? Car porn movie. So, I mean,
the camera's never leaves the fucking car, which is quite an interesting trait.
It's quite technical. I mean, it centers around a guy that obviously loves his car to bits, spent all his money into his car, has got a relationship with his girlfriend or wife. I don't think his wife is girlfriend, and he's got a daughter. And he's got a cousin, I believe, that's just coming out of jail, that's obviously embroiled in a bit of the kind of like the drug underworld. And he just gets kind of involved in being a driver for a job. And his car just keeps getting fucking broke, made dirty. And his daughter gets kidnapped. And it ends up being a bit of a kind of, a weird one, kind of a race against the time to get the drugs back to the underground kind of drugs dealer. I mean, it wasn't for me. However, I think that it was shot really well. The perspective of just always being in the car was fantastic. It was really, really well filmed. Geordie Paul?
Yeah, technically it was decent. I just got the feeling that they think it's a better film than it actually is, and like everyone who made it, or I don't know. It was a bit up its own arse for me, because the guy who loves his car, but then I never really got the sense at the end of it he was really gutted that his car was fucked.
He didn't get angry enough, did he? He didn't get angry enough when people.
He was almost like resigned to the fact that the shit's just happening, when actually it's his own fault all the shit happened because he does something which causes the shit to happen. And then I just his cousin, who's meant to be obviously the dimwit and the comedy foil for him, it just did my head in.
He was annoying, wasn't he?
And there was some really, really strange bits in it where they get the security guard who basically, spoilers, humps his car. I just went over my head a bit, to be honest.
An interesting exhaust pipe shot at the end.
Yes,
it was almost Hardcore Henry, but in a car.
Yeah, maybe.
Remember that movie, Hardcore Henry?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to watch a film that's set in a car and it's a brilliant film, go and watch Lock with Tom Hardy in it. Because I don't know if you have seen that, but I really love that film.
No one fucks a car in that, but yeah.
No, nobody fucks a car. But that's such a great layered film, which is basically just one shot of Tom Hardy driving, and it's really good for like the tension building, and it's really good. So, but yeah, no, it didn't. No, it was a bit of a
interesting tidbit. The director also directed Toxic Avengers 4. So,
well, that explains it then, doesn't it?
Yeah, not much to say on this one. Not for me.
Okay, what are we rating it then? Paul?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna give it a 4, just because it's a bit more technical than the ones I've given a 3 to.
Yeah, I'd go 4 as well.
Fair. 4 out of 10, defo. Cool.
So, moving on to the last film on the Sunday. So, I think it's probably fair to say we were a bit fatigued by this point. And then we saw a film starring Paul Butcher's favourite actor, Stephen Dorff. He says with a lot of sarcasm, and Emil Hirsch, and it was called The Price We Pay. So basically, this centers around a pawn shop robbery gone wrong. And basically, 3 criminals who take refuge at a remote house with a hostage. They get away from the pawn shop and they haul up because their car runs out of fuel. And they try and they lay up in a farmhouse, and then some weird shit starts happening. Lads, who wants to take this one up?
I don't know. Like, I wasn't I wasn't blown away by it, but it wasn't like an awful movie. The sort of robbery gone wrong, taking a hostage, and then go into a farm, and then you don't get what is expected at the farm. It sort of dives into almost like a bit of a hostile situation, with Emil Hirsch's character being quite an interesting douche. He's kind of a bit of a sociopath, and the sort of way that he deals with what is going to happen was quite interesting to watch. There were some quite interesting bits. I like Emil Hirsch. There was some good special effects in it, some good blood, some good gore, an interesting main sort of 2 protagonists, I guess. And then that final fucking kill is like something to behold. A nice bit of usage of barbed wire, definitely. But it wasn't like amazing, but it wasn't like mega shit. So
yeah, I agree. It wasn't the worst film ever. I mean, I just think that it could have gone different places, and I just think the choices that they made just seemed a bit lame. But I agree, it did top off the ending. Was I kind of give it a little bit of applaud for the last ending bit. But yeah, I think it could have gone somewhere else. It was like, oh, right, so that's the plot. Excellent. And then it just like the main guy he wasn't evil enough. It wasn't great.
It had like a paragraph of exposition in it, just explaining what was going on at a really random time in the film when it didn't really build up or anything. It was just happening. And it was like, oh, no, this is what's happening. It didn't give any gravity to it. It was just like, that's the crack. And you're like, oh, all right then. And then if it wasn't for the sort of the menacing sort of female character, the film would have been really, really bland. But I've just looked. There's like the old dude in it, like the bad guy. Do you know who he is? He's the bad guy from Commando.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's just got another point.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So yeah, I literally just
Interesting.
looked that up, but yeah, it was a bit, a bit paint by numbers to be honest for me. So,
Yeah,
but it
agreed.
was a very good ending. Like I'll give you the props. The sort of kill at the end is very, very inventive.
Yeah, almost kill of the festival. That almost.
I think I give it a 5 out of 10. Halfway point, I think.
5's fair.
Yeah.
5 is
yeah.
fair. Defo.
Yeah, 5 from me.
Well, that was Sunday done, and then let me move on to Monday,
The home straight.
where we have 4 more movies to talk about. Which ones will hit and which ones will miss. Well, we woke up early enough to go and see the first one, which we weren't going to do, and oh my god, I'm so happy that we did. The first movie is Spanish. It's called Piggy. It was created off the back of a short and turned into a feature. It's about an overweight teen. It's almost like a coming of rage sort of movie, like what I did there, where you got the sort of the main character is not really a likable character, but she's bullied, unfortunately. Even though she is bullied, she's not that likable still. But it follows her journey. Sarah, and she is picked on, and it's sort of like there's a serial killer in the background that's sort of like picking off people, almost as if he's choosing and deciding who his prey is based on her, and sort of like, which is quite interesting. But it follows some very interesting visuals, deals with obviously something that's very close to my heart, like in terms of bullying and stuff like that. But it does tend to go somewhere a little bit differently than most movies in the way that they deal with it. She doesn't really say much to our Sarah, but so it's always left to what she does and the way she does it, and it's sort of really beautifully shot, and the location of it is like fantastic to sort of see where she sort of trots off, I guess, into different places. Matt?
Yeah, I enjoyed this. I was a bit dubious because I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, if I was going to go to this, because I was feeling a bit dodgy, a little bit fragile after our bit of karaoke the night before. But I'm glad that you actually persuaded me, Butch, because it was fantastic. It's really different to see this sort of movie. It was refreshing. It kept me captivated the whole way through. Maybe a little tad too long for me. However, that said, like the storyline was interesting, the acting was fantastic, and the way it was shot was beautiful. Like some scenes where, like the swimming scenes and kind of like the location, and when there was kind of this like a siesta almost, it was like a sleepy little town. They just go away for their siesta, and it's like a ghost town. I love the way it portrayed that. It was fantastic. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think the great skill with the filmmaking as well is it made you feel a bit hot and sweaty and a bit sticky and a bit dirty at the same time. I think the way it was shot, you sort of almost felt you were there, because it is quite grimy. Yeah, great central performance. I think the only grumble, Matt, you touched on it there, was the run length. I thought towards the end, even though the end was quite good, I thought sort of maybe the 3/4 points through the film started to lag a bit, and I don't know whether that's because it was a short, and the impact of the short, obviously you're just trying to extend that idea a bit, and I don't know whether they managed to carry it all the way through, but yeah, it was very, very well done. Do you know something that I heard about? The actress who played Sarah, so obviously she's 16, 17, and well, the character Sarah, schoolgirl, she was in her mid-30s when she played it.
Bloody hell, really?
Wow.
Which I just thought, Jesus, you didn't think, oh my God, that's like, I mean, some films you watch and you know they're older than they're supposed to be, but this one I was like, wow, well surprised. But yeah, good story.
Played so well with her innocence and her sort of naivety, and as well as like her sort of way that she dealt with her sort of bullies and stuff like that was just like very sad and stuff, and yet she was kind of our heroine in the end.
But also a bit of a bitch.
Well, she did the right thing in the end. Or did she? Or did she? It's sort of one of those movies where it's sort of like it does kind of lead you to make your own mind up about what is going to sort of happen, and what she's actually done is very, very, very cool. I like this one a lot. It was. I was very surprised and happy that we went to see this one.
I'm glad we did go see it. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and I'll give it a healthy 8 out of 10. Yeah,
I'll give it 8 out of 10. That's fair. That's good.
I'm gonna go 7, guys, just to be that guy. So.
Okay, so the moment everybody has been waiting for. Well, definitely us anyway. So we were so pumped. Paul, Butch, you were whooping, psyching yourself up before we went in for this. You woke up in the morning, you were like, Terrifier 2, baby! Like, we totally psyched ourselves up for that. So it was Terrifier 2. So obviously we have watched Terrifier 1. Geordie Paul, you had it as your homework, which was good. I'm glad you watched that before we went. So we got seated. We had a nice little video from the director and the actor of Art the Clown, which was cool. And then we went balls deep into Terrifier 2. And boy, were we not let down. I fucking thought this was debauchery, blood on the next level. So we kick off where we left off with Art the Clown. Straight in there. I don't even know where to start with this. Where do we even start?
I mean,
it centers around a teenage girl.
And teenage girl and her brother.
Yeah, so it centers around them, and kind of Art the Clown is kind of pursuing them throughout the movie.
Well, it feels like he's targeting them, but I don't know if he is. It sort of moves.
Well, it's like a big coincidence if he ain't.
It just moves towards them.
Okay, we'll go with that.
In a way, and along the way, there are some interesting moments. This is very important to note that this is a running time of 2 hours 20 minutes,
and we probably will spoil it.
Yeah, you have to acknowledge the fact that Felissa Rose is in this movie, Sleepaway Camp herself. The Sienna and Eric, who plays sort of the brother and sister dynamic. Sienna especially was fucking phenomenal. Gorgeous. Again, gorgeous. I know it sounds a little bit pervy. Anyway, but like, obviously this was a fan-backed movie that absolutely smashed it, and so he, in terms of like the budget that he got for this, so he kept on just extending it and giving us more. This is really one made for Art the Clown fans. That's why the length of time is so long. So you get a lot more like character development. But fuck me, the special effects in this are absolutely astonishing. The amount of there's not a movie at this festival all combined that has the amount of blood and guts that this sort of brings us. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Carnage.
Oh god, I think you could just almost just pick one death at a time, can you? Ali's death. I mean, the way he plays around with some of these. I mean, that first movie where you've got that girl, the upside down, where he saws her in half. What he does to poor Ali is just unbelievable. It's just like it's gone on another level in terms of debauchery. It was like you kind of almost challenge yourself to kind of go, fuck, am I that fucked up that I'm sort of kind of enjoying the fact that there's this much like violence, blood and guts on screen?
Is it too far? That's the question you got.
Not for me. Not for me. I still don't think. I mean, he's such an interesting character, but yeah, I didn't. Did he go over a line? I don't know. Well, how do you feel about it?
I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously he said before he made it, is that there's going to be bigger kills, there's going to be more gore, there's going to be like it's just going to be crazy. And the bedroom scene with the friend that gets killed was insane. I mean, it goes far. I don't think. I mean, for me, it wouldn't. It doesn't overstep the line. But I think if you showed that to a unseasoned horror fan, they would probably be fucking freaked the fuck out by that.
Good.
evil. I mean, not only does he do, he fucking literally fucking goes to town on this girl, like scalps her, fucking splits her hands, like literally she's dying, like, and then he comes out with this kind of fucking, what was it, like acid types? I don't know what it was, like salt acid stuff, and just doused her in it. It's like, oh my god, the most pain and horrific thing you could do to someone. It's just mental. But
Yeah,
crazy.
and then to show all that, and then her mum walks in, and she's sort of still alive.
And he's like hacking bits off her.
Yeah,
Ill.
biting her. It's just, yeah, it's fucking crazy. Do we want to talk about storyline? Is there a storyline to this movie?
Well, do you want me to weigh in here?
Yeah, go Jordy Paul, because I
So-
think we had a little bit of a chat about this, haven't we? A little bit.
The whole film for me, I mean, oh my god, it's just such an assault on your senses. But I think they got a little bit too excited and a little bit too carried away with themselves, because there's a few bits in the film which I know films like this aren't made to make sense. I know, but they spent a ton of time investing in stuff that didn't have a payoff. So for me, there was no point putting it in the film. You could have just had Art the Clown doing what he was doing. Fine, cool, gory, had this shock factor, like the first one. You know, it was a bit like what's going on? They spent a ton of time with the boy and the girl, and obviously they've got family issues. Their mother was a bit of a mental case, and then their dad had killed himself, you found out, and he'd gone a bit mental. And they literally set this up, right, that Art the Clown was going to be their dad. Because he had a scrapbook.
I have to say, I never felt that. So for you to
No?
it's up to you.
Okay. Well, all right then. Well, I felt that we're going down this road, right? And then I had this scrapbook, and he had the pictures of the kills and all this type of stuff. And it was, there was loads of this, like, focusing on her dad and how her dad can see stuff and all this type of stuff. And they never dealt with it. They never dealt with it at all. For the rest of the film, like, still, it's up in the air. So what were they going on about?
I do have to agree with Jordy Paul. I think that I mean, this is my take on it, and only my take on it. I think they were going down that route, and then halfway through they decided, actually, I don't think that's the route to go down. We don't need to do this. Let's just make it a bit crazy, kind of heel turny kind of way. Unless it's going to make more sense, maybe when he makes Terrifier 3, maybe he's going to link a story.
That's what I was going to say. Is part of,
yeah,
I suppose
possibly.
Now we know that it's part of a trilogy, especially with that fucking Easter egg I've seen at the end. Oh my fucking word. You know, there is something perhaps more to this, and maybe the dad's got something to do with it, maybe. And maybe the fact that there's a weird fucking sword that has something to do with it as well. Don't know. They went all like weird and kind of, is there gonna devil fantasy? I don't know. Is there? I don't need a reason. I didn't need anything. They could have cut back and all that storyline and just fucking let him kill more. I mean, he did kill a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah, but that's the
the
thing.
kill
Well,
count.
I didn't need a reason. I don't need a reason, but if you're going to spend half an hour, 45 minutes of a 2-hour film talking about this stuff, maybe give us a reason or just leave it out. That was my whole thing. It was like, why did they do it? Like, I'm not even talking about the flashy sword at the end, or her getting dropped into hell, maybe, or I don't know. But like, whatever, have it like that. You know, the end credit scene was bonkers, but have it. That's fine. But it just don't spend ages in a film talking about something that never gets dealt with in a way. I don't know. That's the only thing. Like, don't get us wrong, Paul. Jesus, man, like, it did what it said on the tin. It did what it promised. I just think I think, like I said, they got a bit carried away with themselves when they could have just pulled back a bit. But my God, I've never looked at mashed potato in the same way again.
Oh, Jesus fucking
brilliant.
Christ. That bit with the shotgun. I mean, I didn't. Some of the kills, it's like, again, we know we expect the unexpected, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you've blown someone's head off. It's just sat at a table, and then you go, here's some mashed potato, and smash it into the half a skull. Yeah, I mean, some of it was just crazy. I love the bit in the Halloween shop. Again, when he just appears, and then she leaves her bag, and she thinks she's gonna have to go back in. He slams it on the counter. I thought that was really well done.
I think that's obviously how he finds out where she lives. Because then how would he know where she lives?
He's obviously a supernatural entity thing now, is he? I don't know. Who knows?
Always has been. I mean, when he was in All Halloweens, he just came out of the TV.
Yeah.
So
But there is it's definitely supernatural.
Well, like, I mean, he's still like, for me, it's still it was such a great character, and they can do anything they want with it now because they've almost turned him sort of Kruger-esque, haven't they?
I mean,
it's a
it
bit
didn't.
like
It didn't. I don't know about you, but it didn't feel like a 2.5 hour movie at all. Not to me. I thought I was thoroughly engrossed in it the whole time. I did not look away once. You know, it was great. I
wasn't bored. I definitely wasn't bored, but
No.
I suppose it's just the plot threads that they just left hanging. I just thought, well, they just didn't need to do it. The only scene I thought, Jesus, this has gone a long time, was that clown scene at the start with the clown song.
that song was ace.
The song was great. Yeah, the song was great, but the scene just went on for about. That scene lasted about 25 minutes, and it was a dream scene. And you're like, all right, okay, I get it.
But then I there are little bits where I'm like, you know, this at the end of the day, you know, they're running this. So a little bit of it is like they want it to be a franchise, so they introduce kind of like an almost new character that's kind of his little sidekick. They've introduced now he has his own theme tune. You see what I mean? It's like it's a product. He's now Art the Clown is a product. I'm sorry, no matter what you say, he sells products. He sells T-shirts. They already said, like Frightfest already said, it was their biggest ticket sales outside of the actual festival they've ever had. That's, there is such a big cult following of Art the Clown and the Terrifier movies, which is great.
Fucking poster that they put up like afterwards, it's just fucking
brilliant.
Beautiful.
Yeah, 100%. But I enjoyed it.
They didn't give Frightfest that poster, did they? Which is quite interesting.
Don't know. Maybe it was just a reveal afterwards.
Did we have a little bit of Colin Salmon before this movie as well? Was that before this movie? Where like
no, that was before Barbarian.
Ah, okay. But yeah, loved it. 9 out of 10 for me. Fucking brilliant. Fucking disgusting. Really thought low of myself for enjoying it. So yeah. There we go.
Geordie Paul?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Just because of the like I said, but still really strong. If you love Terrifier, you're gonna love Terrifier too. It amps it up. I just thought there was a couple of bits where they could have just left it out for me. It was got a bit sort of confusing when it didn't have to be. But yeah, grim, nasty. What did I say about the first one? That was a nasty little film. This was a nastier, bigger film.
I've heard the Blu-ray's is like 3 hours long, the extended cut.
Oh,
I just made that up.
I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 for me as well. Maybe if I do see that cut, maybe it'll bring it up to a 9. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great.
I mean, I did make that up.
Okay, so penultimate film. We were racing it through. Thanks for this one, lads. The next one we went to see Burial, which, in fairness to us three, we weren't really that keen on.
Well, I did say you want to sit this one out. I mean,
you did, but look, we were on for we were good. We weren't seeing the fall, so we thought we best go and see this one. So, basically, set in the last days of World War II, follows a group of Russian soldiers who have been tasked with transporting a box across Poland and into Russia to give to Stalin. You find out basically that in the box is the body of Adolf Hitler. And then this is where the synopsis got a bit funny, because I'm going to read the synopsis, right? And yeah. En route, the unit is attacked by German werewolves and is picked off one by one, right? So we thought we were going to watch a werewolf film, not realizing that werewolves was the term that Hermann Goebbels gave to the bloody German fighters in the forest to make them sound bloody scary.
Wankers.
Yes.
Wankers.
So this film is essentially about this group of people trying to get from A to B. And, well, I mean, I've said this to you already, but I'll say it again. In today's day and age, right, the amount of actors in the world and the cultural, like, you can find actors anywhere, right? You can find actors and let them do accents, right? They're actors, right? Why have a group of Russian soldiers speaking like this. We need to transport Hitler's body back to. It just jarred me from the start, and I was like, "You got a Cockney in there. Then you've got a guy trying to speak Russian, but he just keeps on going in and out." I just thought it was really, really lazy from the start. And then you get Tom Felton from Harry Potter rock up as a German Pole, and his accent was terrible as well.
Yeah, German.
It just really, yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm ranting on about it, but I just thought it was really bland. What did you think?
No, I don't really want to give this much air, to be honest. I mean, like you said, it was fucking incredibly random and lazy in terms of 1 minute we're getting subtitled Polish or subtitled German or subtitled Russian. They're all speaking English. It's clearly filmed in Wales. And you get one kind of guy attempting a Russian accent, but why? If the rest of them aren't, it's fucking pointless. This whole movie was a fucking letdown. I was expecting goddamn Nazi werewolves. I'm giving this a fucking 1 out of 10. Suck my dick. I fucking hate it.
Well, do you know what, right? There's a couple of bits in it. I actually thought werewolves were going to turn up. And do you know when they were, we have to bury it every night. It has to be buried every night. And then they're like, why? Well, yeah, because in case we get killed and people find it. And I was thinking, oh no, Hitler's going to like come from the dead and kill them all. No, it was literally not a horror film at all. And it was really boring. Not tense at all. Just, really bland. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10.
I haven't even said my piece yet, you cheeky fuckers. Well, I'm not. Look, I always try and look at the positives of some films, and I thought the costume design and the props were really good, and the locations are really cool. One thing I will say that I do like about the film, or I don't know if I like it, but the kind of like in a nutshell, the film does show that after all this time, things have not even changed, which I quite like that bit. On that basis alone, I'll give it a 3 out of 10 for me.
This is the last movie for the Frightfest weekend under heavy embargo. I mean, we're 2 days out of the embargo, so there's not much that we can say. We can't. Yeah. We're not officially giving this a review, Disney. So this was like under heavy guard. It had security all around the cinema to make sure nobody was fucking filming it, and it was Paul had to do a big fucking like declaration to make sure that nobody was going to do anything dodgy. It has a review embargo until the Wednesday the 7th, so 2 days after we published this podcast. So because we don't give a fuck, this isn't going to be a review. But so no spoilers, no nothing. Just the fact that this movie stars Bill Skarsgård, Justin Long, Georgina Campbell. It's about a woman staying in an Airbnb where she discovers that the house she rented has somebody there already. And then shit goes on from there. This was one of the best movies of the festival. It was just fucking bonkers. This is going to get a cinema release or something. You're going to see this. Go see it, unspoiled. Enjoy the fucking ride.
And it's got our mate Richard Brake in it as well, which is always a plus. But yeah, unfortunately, we can't say much on this. I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, all I can say is go and see it and try and stay away from any kind of trailers and everything like that and reviews when they do come out. Just go in blind, enjoy it, have fun, because it's a corker of a movie. And I'm really glad we watched this at the as our last film.
Yeah, it was a perfect way to finish the festival. I was really looking forward to this based on the trailer I'd seen, because I just thought it looked really, really cool. And whatever you think it might be, it's not. So just go and see it. Enjoy it.
Possibly we'll do a full review when it has its release. Maybe we should do that, because I think it maybe deserves that.
Yeah, it's a great bit of filmmaking. It's great. It's fantastic. So yeah, definitely needs to be seen before you hear about it.
Cool.
But we had a fantastic time. Geordie Paul's first ever time. It was so much fun. Massive thanks to Ian, Paul, Alan, and Greg for putting this on again. It was great fun. Geordie Paul, you got anybody you would like to thank?
Well, yeah, I mean, first off, big shout out to Paul Johnston-Naylor, the general manager of Cineworld, and all the staff. They were all fantastic, great service, looked after everyone. I didn't see anybody complaining or kicking off or doing anything like that. It was all great spirited. So yeah, well done. And yeah, thanks, Paul, for putting it on, and yeah, lovely cinema and the massive fucking screen that every director commented on how big it was. So yeah, thanks for that. And then I just obviously, yeah, I just want to say thank you very much, obviously, to you guys for inviting me along, because it was amazing. Loved it. Surprising, actually. I actually like more films than I disliked, and I was a bit worried that I'd be
it was a good year, possibly the best that we've been. I think it was a fucking good year.
And then everybody we spoke to, from the filmmakers to the people that you guys know, like people like Andy and Meg, and Paul, your friend Paul, everyone we met was so friendly, so inviting, so welcoming. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers to Mr. Paul Thomas, who came up and met us, had a couple of beers, watched a few movies, had a laugh by the looks of things. We met some interesting people in the industry, to say the least. Definitely will make no spoilers whatsoever, but yeah, we definitely met some very interesting people to talk horror with, who have some very interesting jobs out there. If you listen to this, you know who you are. We will never spoil anything. Liam, Reagan from Miss Campbell, you're a gent. Thanks for talking to us. Benson and Moorhead, you're fucking legends. They're fucking cool. Yeah, Andy, you're a good lad, and your missus Meg, Mitch, all your mates that came down. We saw Lewis again, which was great. Yeah, just everyone.
It's lovely seeing him after 3 years, so long. It's just lovely to see him, give him a hug, have a crack, have a laugh, just have a beer. It was great. It was just it was just good to see people again. But what a time. Thanks to Greg's for providing us with all the food for the weekend.
Quick mention to the person who we won't share the name, but who contacted us contacted Matt with a very, very lovely message, and we all sort of took it to heart, and thanks for listening to the podcast. And again,
I really appreciate it.
So.
It's good to hear that we're helping people out. That's why we started the pod. People can listen to us and get a bit of comfort from listening to our really boring voices. Then that's great. That's good fun.
Yeah, and Will Hygo from the group, who sent us a screener to watch, and we will be looking at that and having a chat with him in a future podcast as well. So that's really cool.
Excellent stuff.
Well, that's Frightfest 2022 special done. Moving on to the next episode, where we've already got us our move from the vault, which is The Ring. Our main review is yet to be announced, but I imagine something that is at the cinema, if it's accessible, might be watched, because we did miss the final movie. The Fall is out at the cinema for a couple of days, so if we get to see that might be our movie. But there's a load of movies coming in September. Without further ado, I think that ends another great episode. Thanks for listening. When there's no more room in hell, here's another podcast.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
You can follow us on Twitter @DrawOneLast, Instagram @DrawOneLastBreath, or pop us an email at drawnelastbreathpod@hotmail.com.